This webcast was generously sponsored by SiteSpect. For more information, please go to www.sitespect.com. Hello, and welcome to Optimizing for Speed, 5 key techniques for faster websites. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm the CEO and founder of Web Analytics Demystified. Web Analytics Demystified provides strategic consulting around digital measurement, analysis, and optimization for clients around the globe. If you're interested in our services or offerings, please look us up at webanalyticsdemystified.com. Let's get started. Fast sites are the new black. Everybody wants to have a fast website. The reason is, of course, slow sites don't meet our needs. Much the same way as Apple's initial foray into mobile computing didn't take off, slow sites don't make us happy. If your web pages are not loading quickly, you're throwing away money. And worse, you're not making any new friends. Consumers are increasingly intolerant of slow and poorly performing websites. The evidence is everywhere, right? This is an article recently from the New York Times saying that Google found the blink of an eye is too long to wait for impatient web users. And they found that 250 milliseconds, 1/4 of a second, less time than it takes to blink your eye once, was enough to get web users to go to different sites or to stop considering you. Half of a second or less will turn people off. So site speed matters. Site speed matters. There's this great infographic that Kissmetrics provided. So let me walk you through this briefly. First, every second counts. The data suggests that as page load time increases, so does page abandonment. And this makes perfect sense. If you're made to wait and wait and wait for a web page to load, well, inevitably, you're going to go someplace else and try to find the same information. What's more, 60% of mobile internet users say that they've encountered at least one problem while browsing within the last 12 months, with nearly 3 out of 4 people saying that they found sites on their mobile phones or iPads or tablets that were just too slow to load. And again, while mobile is different, people's expectations about performance are largely the same. Website performance also affects shopping behaviors. 47% of consumers surveyed said that they expect a web page to load in 2 seconds or less, right? And a 1-second delay would decrease customer satisfaction by about 16%. So if you're not loading quickly, you're running the risk of not getting transactions. And here's the big number. 1 second delay. A 1-second delay in page response could result in a 7% reduction in conversions. So if you're doing $100,000 a day in your online site and mobile site, that 1 second could cost you $2.5 million a year in lost sales. Now again, props to Kissmetrics. Throw them shouts out at @Kissmetrics for this great infographic. And they sourced this data from Gomez and Akamai and other sources. Some other scary statistics. Amazon reported that a 100 millisecond increase in load time resulted in a 1% decrease in sales. You cannot even blink your eye in 100 milliseconds. But for every 100 milliseconds, Amazon was losing money. The Aberdeen Group reported that performance-related issues potentially reduced digital-generated corporate revenue by up to 9%. So this flows out of your online channel back to the bottom line. And Gomez reported that the shopping giant Shopzilla, prior to performance optimization efforts, was leaving as much of 12% of their annual revenue on the table, just because their pages weren't loading quickly and they weren't focused on the customer experience. But wait, there's more. Google also found that a half-second delay resulted in a 20% drop in AdWord-generated revenue. AdWords is the core of Google's business, and so no wonder they're focused on site speed and site performance. Bing found much the same. 2-second delay resulted in 1.8% decline in searches, 3.8% fewer clicks, and a 4% decline in customer satisfaction, and most importantly, a 4.3% loss in revenue per visitor. Mozilla, a SiteSpect customer, found that a 2.2-second decrease in load time increased their downloads by more than 15%. That was over 60 million additional downloads every year just by taking a closer look at the performance of that download page. So the evidence is clear, right? Site performance matters. Site performance counts. So this opportunity is clear, right? The opportunity for all of you, anyone listening to this webcast. Improving your site performance can help you. It can help you improve your operating margins. It can help you improve your site and application stability. It can help you improve your page rank with Google, right? Google PageRank is now incorporating in page load time and site speed. It'll help you improve your mobile site performance, and it'll help you improve the chances that your site will be recommended. Because honestly, nobody recommends slow, horrible sites. It just doesn't happen. So essentially in this modern age, right, as you're building sites that are dependent upon mashups and other technologies, maybe you have a tag-based platform, maybe you have a map, maybe you have something in your page and site performance becomes increasingly complicated and dependent upon others, right? You may have designed a perfectly good platform, but if one of your service partners is having a bad hair day, well then your site looks bad. So there's a performance pendulum that we see. You have to find the balance as site owners, as site operators, between functionality and performance. You can't sacrifice functionality, right? You do not want to be perceived of as having a 1990s site in this modern age. But you also cannot sacrifice site performance. So you have to find that pendulum. So what do you do, right? What do you do? What does the modern marketer do? And what does the relationship look like with your IT organization? What I suggest, right, and what we see working within our client base is to focus on web performance optimization. Web performance optimization, or WPO, allows you to improve your site's performance without sacrificing functionality. Now, it's largely the domain of big content distribution networks like Limelight and Akamai, but modern techniques are emerging. Right? Modern techniques are emerging, things that you can do on your own, things that you can outsource without having to go to technology, and things that can manifest directly as improvements in the customer experience. One of these is actually optimization testing, and I'll come back to that in a couple minutes. So in a nutshell, web performance optimization, again, is the use of content delivery networks, right, to move large and heavy files to the edges of the internet. If you've got video, or if you've got big images, or if you've got audio files, it makes sense to put it closer to where your internet-based consumers are. It also involves the use of application delivery controllers, or ADCs, in-house to distribute requests, to leverage compression, to do SSL offloading, and a number of other tips and tricks and techniques that are going to make files smaller, more compressed, and to optimize their delivery back out to your consumers. And also now the use of front-end optimization techniques that are believed to have the greatest perceived impact on performance. Your page may be slowly loading in the background, but if a consumer can see it, right, and if they feel like they can start to interact with it, the page may not be fully loaded, but still the consumer will be satisfied. Now, I mentioned web performance optimization and testing. Our sponsor, the smart guys at SiteSpect, have a solution built on their existing A/B and multivariate testing platform that allows companies to test different performance optimization techniques. So you don't have to come up with a single WPO technique that's going to work for you. You can have a WPO technique that will work for your consumers in the United States, one that will work differently for your consumers in Germany, one that would work differently for your consumers using an iPad, and others who would work differently for consumers using Google Chrome. Now, if you're interested in this, I'd encourage you to reach out to our sponsor. You can write them at info@sitespect.com or visit them on the web. Now that we've introduced the idea of web performance optimization, let's talk about 5 things that you can do to really be great at your website performance and understanding where performance is creating opportunities for you or otherwise presenting barriers to your customers. Now, before I do this, I'll remind you that all of this information is available in Optimizing for Speed, 5 Key Techniques for Faster Web and Mobile Sites, a new white paper that's published by the fine folks at SiteSpect. You can go to sitespect.com and download this now if you'd like. So first, make performance a priority, right? You need to get everyone in the organization to think about your website in terms of how it performs and the experiences that you're enabling. To create this awareness, you need to message clearly about your goals. And so if you haven't done this already, I strongly recommend that you add performance data to your executive dashboards. As you can see here in the box, we've painted that 3.4 seconds on average is what the page or the site is taking to load at the current time. And this is 32% more or higher than the target, right? And so the goal is to have a site that loads in about 2 seconds. We also provide the range. It loaded in 1.2 seconds on minimum and 9.2 seconds on maximum. And this will set people's expectations about what you should be doing, what you should be creating, and what you're working towards with your site's performance. Now there's lots of ways to measure this, right? There are dozens of tools out there to measure site speed. There are great paid tools like Gomez and Keynote and Tealeaf. There's also tons of free tools like Google PageSpeed and PENDULum. PENDULum is shown here. It provides a beautiful waterfall graph. You can get this at tools.pingdom.com and it's totally free. Your web analytics application may even measure this for you, but you need to measure site and page performance and then communicate about that performance across the organization. Number 2, measure in context. Don't just report on the site speed or the page speed. Put that in the context of the traffic to that page or the importance of that page to your broader business. Right? A common mistake that companies make is considering that site performance is to measure it in isolation and make it information technology's problem. But site performance isn't IT's problem. It becomes everybody's problem when your site slows down and you're leaving money on the table. So the best practice is to integrate page speed and page performance into your web analytics data and to use that to provide context. Great way to do this, and lots of companies have it already, is Google Analytics. Google Analytics has site and page performance data embedded in it. And you can see here, you can actually get a map overlay that shows the load time performance of the page that you're looking at based on geography. Based on this map, we're having a particular problem in China, and that can be used in a diagnostic sense to improve that performance if traffic from China is important to your business. Now there's lots of other reports in Google Analytics, and you can make this happen in almost every other web analytics application. Here you can see their Explorer and see that on Saturday, February 18th, we had a particular problem with average load page time, or page load time on this site, spiking to 9.77 seconds, which also drove up our bounce rate to 66.5%. All of this information given in context gives you clear actions that you can follow up on. You can understand where there are real and substantial problems on your website that need to be addressed. Google Analytics goes on, giving you page level analytics by page view and average load time, telling you about the sample size, your bounce rate, and percentage exit. There's all kinds of great information in Google Analytics. And again, if you have Adobe Site Catalyst, or if you have Web Trends, or you have Core Metrics, you can make this happen for you. You just have to say, we need this data in context, and then work backwards until the data are integrated. That integration, again, is critical. Right? If you're not sure how to do this, whether or not it's with bulk data loading or using APIs, ask your vendors for specific details. You can also reach out to the folks at SiteSpect. They may have ideas, but get that data integrated. Don't just look at the performance of your site in isolation. Look at it in the context of your data and your otherwise traffic. Tip number 3 is to recognize that web performance optimization is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Site and page performance doesn't manifest universally across technology, geography, and experience type. So here's an example from Google Analytics for one of my sites where you can see that the exact same page, profile.asp, when rendered in Safari, Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer, had dramatically different average page load times. You can see that Safari's load time was actually very poor, although the page load sample is small there. If you look at Chrome, you'll see that its average load time was 10.3 seconds versus Internet Explorer of 8.76 seconds. Ironically, the slower load time led to a lower bounce rate, but you have this data, right? You can use this data to make conclusions and to take actions. Very important to have. More examples, you can cut this data by operating system, you can cut this data by source, you can cut this data lots of different ways, but again, having it in the context of your web analytics, having it in the context of your site traffic and your revenue generating activities is very, very important. Now you want to segment your performance data as well. Right? Assuming you have this integrated solution, you want to plan to segment and explore your site and performance data by device type, by platform and browser, by broad page type, by user type, by whatever dimensions you're able to segment against in your particular web analytics solution. Don't just look at performance data in isolation, and don't just look at it in aggregate. That will not help you. Tip number 4 is to consider outsourcing. Web performance optimization is moderately complicated, especially in the large enterprise, and it's actually very similar to search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is considered by many to be voodoo, and there's various types of practices, some of which are white hat, some of which are black hat. Web performance optimization is not nearly as complicated nor nearly as tricky, but it's still not something that your average marketer, your average analyst, your average IT person knows enough about. So you may want to outsource that to another organization who focuses on it specifically. Again, similar to how you outsource SEO, outsourcing WPO allows you to stay focused on the business at hand while benefiting from current and emerging WPO techniques. There's also a variant, right? You may not want to wholly outsource your WPO, but there are WPO automation services. Now, this productizes a lot of the most common techniques, such as zipping pages and otherwise modifying script files to deliver more quickly. And this allows for rapid deployment. It also supports WPO testing techniques, as I described earlier, and as is provided by this paper's and webcast sponsor, SiteSpect. Now, if you're not sure what to choose, and this comes directly from the white paper, here's a handy guide. If you believe you only have minor site performance issues, try to deal with it in-house, right? Make sure that your script files are all properly zipped. Make sure that everything is loading quickly or as quickly as possible. Use the PENDULUM tool that I showed earlier to do a waterfall graph and make sure that everything is loading and flowing properly. Or if you have highly technical and highly available resources in your technology and performance optimization group to focus on learning about WPO and you're really focused on that, well, do it in-house, right? It's far more financially efficient to just take this on and understand it and own it yourself. But if you have moderately technical resources who are lacking time to learn about and focus on WPO, well, then you may be better off outsourcing this. You may be better off giving it to someone else and saying, here, help us reduce the page load time by a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and let them come back to you with recommendations. Or if you have obvious site performance related issues and you've not been able to solve them, outsourcing may be the right way to go. Finally, if you have some experience with web performance optimization or you're looking for increasingly sophisticated optimizations, including optimizations that are segmented by geography or browser type or something else, well, then automation may be the way to go. Also, if you want optimization without significant development effort and you're looking to test different approaches so you can tailor those optimizations for different end users, again, in different geographies or on different devices, automation may be for you. Finally, don't assume. Test, right? And this dovetails off of automation and again dovetails into the expertise that SiteSpect has. Because there's no one-size-fits-all for web performance optimization, you may want to consider WPO testing and automation. This is essentially multivariate testing for performance optimization techniques. You'll apply different strategies to different pages. You'll collect statistical data regarding the significance of those optimizations, and you'll make determinations of what's working best for your audience by geography, by device type, by target, whatever your targets may be. So here's an example from SiteSpect AMPS showing all the different performance optimizations that they can do and the statistical relevance of each. This is beyond me, obviously. If you have more questions about this, you should reach out to SiteSpect directly. I'm sure they'd be happy to talk you through it. So in conclusion, I hope that this webcast was enlightening to you and the value of performance optimization is clear. Anyone who bothers to look, right? Anyone who bothers to look at their performance of their website, who bothers to read the data, to look at the relationship between revenue generation and site performance or customer experience and site performance sees that this is something you need to focus on. You need to balance performance and functionality. You can't have the world's most beautiful site that nobody goes to because it's too slow to load. Conversely, you can't have the world's ugliest site that's fast to load. You have to find that balance. Hopefully the 5 steps that I presented briefly will help you with that. And as always, at Web Analytics Demystified and on behalf of our sponsor SiteSpect, we welcome your feedback on the white paper and this webcast. With that, I'll leave you with my contact information. Feel free to call, email, or write if you have any questions. And thank you all for downloading and listening.